Today on Open Minds UFO Report, an alleged UFO abduction commemorated with a monument in Massachusetts, and triangle UFOs caught on camera. Your Open Minds UFO Report starts now. Hello and welcome to the Open Minds UFO Report. My name is Alejandro Rojas. Earlier this year, the Great Barrington Historical Society and Museum inducted an alleged UFO sighting and alien abduction. Last week, a coalition of witnesses to this encounter erected a monument to commemorate the site of the UFO incident and to acknowledge the local Historical Society induction. According to News 10 ABC in Albany, New York, the commemorative monument is dedicated to the official induction of our nation's first off-world UFO incident. They continue, the monument was installed and funded by a coalition of witnesses present on that fateful night in 1969. One of the primary witnesses to the event is Thomas Reed. He says that he and his family experienced a strange encounter at the location of the monument in 1969. Reed says the UFO sighting was part of a string of strange encounters he and his family experienced beginning back in 1966. The first encounter took place on their horse farm when Reed was 6 years old. He and his younger brother saw strange lights coming from the forest and strange figures in their hallway. They remember seeing a large disc-shaped craft in a clearing in the forest and being taken aboard.
I remember looking out the window. It was right at the foot of the bed, but we had the ladder there, so I was kind of looking off the bunk bed, and I was looking out the bottom of the window. And I saw what looked like a ring, almost like my brother says like a plate, but it was more like a hula hoop, because it was more like a rounder on the outside. Now, there were no homes behind us. There was just a brook and open field. And it was open. It wasn't wood, so people could have been in there. It was an open field behind us. And I'm looking at this thing, and it did seem a little like a vibe. Something was weird in the room, like a calm, and then a kind of a, I don't know, it was just strange. Your body picked up on it. And the next thing I know, I'm like engulfed in this seemed like an ocean wave had hit me. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Yet I went from laying down to standing up, and then I kind of felt like I was in a whitewash. And to be more specific, if you were to take that white bubble wrap that comes when you send something or mail something, it's got the white packets, it was almost like I was surrounded in these white packets. And then I felt inverted, as if my head was on the ground and my feet were up, but I really couldn't tell which was up, which was down. And it happened so fast, but I still remember not knowing which way was up. So it had to have been a couple of seconds to me, maybe, for me to realize that. And then I was no longer in the room.
They experienced similar incidents over the next few years, including a strange event near the old Sheffield Covered Bridge in Sheffield, Massachusetts, the location of the new monument. Reed says while driving with his mother, younger brother, and grandmother, he remembers going through the covered bridge and then seeing strange lights in the forest. Soon after, they found themselves in a giant room where they met two large ant-like creatures. Moments later, they were back in their car. The same night as that encounter, other witnesses called in to WSPS, a local radio station, to report seeing the lights. WSPS was on hand for the official dedication of the monument. WSPS employee Jesse Stewart says he recently heard from an 81-year-old woman who said she had been driving in the area when the event took place back in 1969, and she had reported it to the station back then. Director for the Great Barrington Historical Society and Museum, Debbie Operman, says the decision to induct Reed's family's UFO incident was not unanimous among their board. She told the Boston Globe 3 of the 9 members were strongly opposed. She said, "I know we're going to get a lot of backlash. We're going to get hammered." She continued, "But we have given it an awful lot of thought, and based on the evidence we've been given, we believe this is a significant and true event." Opperman says she believes it is to be the first time a mainstream historical society or museum in the United States has declared a UFO encounter to be historical fact. Reed told Open Minds, "We're honored to have made such a mainstream contribution to this field. As for our family, this monument will serve and stand as a tribute to our late father." Roger Marsh, the Director of Communications for the Mutual UFO Network, also known as MUFON, who is also a contributor to OpenMinds.tv, has written several articles lately about triangle UFO sightings that were caught on camera. The first was reportedly seen in January of this year in Pennsylvania. The witness was driving home from work, heading towards Phoenixville, when she noticed a row of 3 very bright lights. The witness first thought the lights were an airplane, but as she drove closer, the lights appeared to be too bright for an airplane. Once the witness had an unobstructed view, she began taking photographs. The witness says, "As I got closer, it was more apparent to me that this wasn't a plane or a helicopter." She said up close the lights were too bright to see the shape of the object, but once she passed them, she was able to look back and see a triangular-shaped aircraft just above the tree line. The case was investigated by Pennsylvania MUFON Chief Investigator William Weber, who closed it as an unknown. He said photo analysis of the object was inconclusive. The next triangle UFO sighting was spotted in February in Mississippi, and this time it was caught on video. The reporting witness said she is a 15-year ufologist in the Memphis metro area, and she had been seeing bright lights in the same location for a week. One evening at about 1 a.m., she spotted the lights again and ran outside to catch them on video. It had recently snowed, and the witness ran outside with no shoes on, so she was only able to get about a minute of video. However, she says she watched the object for about 20 minutes. After that, she says the object just vanished. She said it was just hovering and pulsating lights that appeared to have a red glow at times. It appeared to be one very large triangular aircraft, and it was hovering so low that it had a 3D effect when viewing. There were times when it appeared to have ejected smaller orb lights, but that is unclear. It was difficult to tell from my vantage point whether it was part of the larger craft or additional smaller craft. The case was investigated by Mississippi field investigator Mark Bort and closed as an unknown. The most recent case was spotted on June 11th at about 8 p.m. in Concord, North Carolina. The witness says, "I saw a triangle-shaped aircraft with 3 white pulsating lights hovering and then moving slowly northeast, and then the lights went off and the craft disappeared." The witness continued, "I'm a former Navy rescue, so I know all about aircraft warning lights, and I've never seen anything like that in the military." The video shows 3 white blinking lights in a triangular formation. The case was reported to MUFON on June 20th and was investigated by North Carolina MUFON field investigator Sanford Davis. The case was closed by Davis as an unknown. In his report, Davis stated that 4 days later, another triangle was spotted by 2 witnesses 50 miles away, and that there had been numerous sightings in the Charlotte area in the last few months. Davis speculated that the object in the video could have been a secret high-tech military aircraft. That's your Open Minds UFO report for today. You can find these stories and more at openminds.tv. We post fresh UFO news daily. You can also follow us on Twitter at OpenMindsTV, and you can find us on Facebook. Don't forget to register for the International UFO Congress, the Guinness World Record-holding largest UFO convention. Early registration is open now, so reserve your spot at the lowest price available all year at ufocongress.com. Let us know if you enjoyed today's episode by liking the episode on YouTube and leaving us your comments in the section below. You can also download our podcast Open Minds UFO Radio on iTunes or at openminds.tv/radio. Thanks again for joining us today for OpenMinds.tv. I'm Alejandro Rojas.